It's time for us to tell our kids our stories and create some children's literature. Welcome to step 6 of gathering your stories and creating children's literature. I'm so excited that we are getting to this place now. You have already, let's kind of go over and check out what you've done. You have already done your introduction. You have done your beginning and last chapters. You've also gathered up maybe 7 or 8 short stories now that are going to be sprinkled in between your beginning and your end. Now then, it's time to do some things that are going to be a little bit different and a little bit tweaky to make sure that we get it just right. Now make sure and go and check your voice and tense through every single chapter. It's important to read it out loud to yourself if you haven't been doing that. Read it out loud so you can hear it, and make sure that your tense and your voice stays the same throughout. Go through and make sure you've said the word said less than you originally wanted to. Circle them. Make sure that you have gotten rid of at least 2 out of 3 where a said word would be. Make sure your words are powerful, and if there's a place that you used a word that you feel like is weak, go ahead now. Take the time this week to go back and make maybe a longer description of a situation instead of saying nice or kind or sweet or like or whatever it would be. Go ahead and make sure and make those longer phrases. Make them more powerful so that you're showing more. And like, for example, it's easier to say someone is kind, but it's more meaningful to show that they were kind. So if there's someone in your life that you kind of left something on the plate, that you didn't completely express how special this person was to you, it's okay to go back now and make sure that those things are captured so that you get that feeling when you're reading it that you really are getting to know the people that were during this time of your life. Remember to build a bridge as you go back through. Am I building a bridge between what I was experiencing so that I can communicate my hopes and my desires and my dreams that I had then, or the disappointments that I had and the way that I overcame and that made me the person that you know today? Make sure and do those things so that whenever the child that you have in your life or the young adult you have in your life, when they're going back through and they're reading these things, that you are passing on not only stories, but a piece of how the person that they know, that you have become the person that you are. Why do you think the way that you think? Why do you react the way that you react? It will help to not only bridge a gap between your childhood and their childhood, it'll build a bridge and the generational bridge between them that they are now and you that you are now. So don't forget to go ahead and weave those things in, concentrating on literary bridges as well. So make sure that your chapters are connecting with ideas. So the last sentence of a chapter would tie in with the next sentence of the next chapter, because these are kind of random stories. You probably haven't ever put them all together this way. So it's important that now that you have the opportunity to go ahead and weave the stories in a little more clearly, that you make sure those bridges are there for the literary purpose of making it a smoother reading document. Okay, so now as you are getting close to being finished with this legacy piece, I'm so excited. Now then you can go ahead and maybe if you need to write a couple of more chapters this week, but you should be getting close to the end of it. So as you are finishing it up, it's time to, what I like to call is name the baby. Anytime you write something, you need to make sure and name it, and this you for sure need to name. Now, a book title is sometimes a difficult thing to nail down. So what you need to be doing is you need to draw, whenever you're writing down the book title, you need to make sure to draw the reader, whenever they first see it, into the place, or to the action, or something that's going to fill them with the anticipation to go ahead and read it. It should allude to what's inside the story, but it shouldn't tell the whole thing necessarily. And it should be simple and memorable. Now, some simple tools for this would be, think about even making a list. So maybe something like horses, cows, and chickens, and the girl who loved them, or 57 Chevy, a drive-in and football, and the guy who lived there, or something like that. So you could use lists to begin to try to come up with a name. Also, don't forget about colloquialisms, sayings that were back in the day, like, oh, shoot, howdy, or gag me with a spoon. You could even have one of those be a title to your book, which would be like, what? That's the craziest thing ever. Or shoot, howdy, y'all. So play with the name until it makes you smile and makes you, oh, I just love this. Of course, make sure it has to do with what's in it, but it's fun to go ahead and create a title, a name. You're naming this precious thing that you've written. Another thing you could do is like a phrase or maybe a song title like Lubbock, Texas in my rearview mirror, or Custer City, Oklahoma, and other famous places, or some sort of a silly thing like that. But it's fun to begin to imagine what this baby's going to be named, because this is a precious gift that you're giving to your kids and grandkids, and you want to try and name it well. So write down a few names, and maybe if you can't make up your mind, you can draw them out of a hat, or you can have your family members or friends vote on which one you think would be the best. So it's time to start thinking about naming this project and begin to start saying, okay, I'm going to end it now. So it could be anywhere between 8 and 12 chapters. If it's much longer than that, maybe you need to, and you feel like you still have more, then maybe you need to split this into 2 different pieces. But what you have now is going to be amazing. Now, it's interesting because as you're writing the title, sometimes they'll jump right at you and sometimes they're going to be more difficult to hone out, but you're going to get it and it's going to be really wonderful. Now, with all of that in mind, I want you to go ahead and make sure and put some periods on the end of the sentences inside of your writing. Go ahead and take a deep breath and say, you know what, this is going to be awesome, and I am almost finished. So as soon as you get to the place where you're like, okay, this is going to be it, and I've come to the end of this time period in my life, then you can go ahead and name it. And next week, we're going to talk about exactly what you can do next to go ahead and turn it into something that will be on bookshelves and will be amazing for your families. So y'all have a great week naming your babies.